Hi there, welcome. I'm Christine Weber. Thank you for joining my weekly live stream. I love to support mature yoga teachers getting their wisdom out there to the world. So I'm usually here on Wednesdays. I'm sorry, I forgot to start my Instagram. There we go. I'm usually here on Wednesdays um, with some tips and thoughts about yoga. So thank you for being here and joining me for that today. Okay, so today I want to talk to you a little bit about the spring. I'm sorry. Hello, we'll get this worked out. Should have worked this out before I went live. Okay, so today I'm here talking about the spring a little bit and some tips I hope will be helpful. I think that's all right. I'm in my new space and I'm still trying to get the lights worked out. As you can tell, it's a little bit dark behind me, but I'm working on it. This morning actually worked pretty well when I was with my my membership group because it was raining out, so the light was totally fine in here. But I'll get it straight eventually. Okay, so today I want to talk a little bit about the spring and how that correlates a bit with the wood element in Chinese medicine. So I should say around the same time started studying yoga, but I was studying a little bit more Chinese medicine at that time, back in the late 80s and early 90s. And I actually went to Japan and lived there for a few years in the early 90s. Um, I thought I was going to study while I was there, but I ended up studying Japanese because it was hard to study with anybody unless you spoke Japanese. So I ended up doing a little bit more of that, and then I went to India for. I was in India and Nepal for about 8.5 months back at that time. Anyway, what I learned about Chinese medicine were the basics, and I've always brought them into my yoga practice. The basics of the five elements, and also I learned a lot of the stretches for the meridians, which I love. Um, I think they dovetail so beautifully with many of the yoga practices, especially if you're into slow mindful yoga like I am. So I want to show you practice today. It's called hugging the tree, which I really like, and there's also one that kind of goes with it, which is I think it's called the Great Bear, but I can't remember. But it's also for the wood element. So let me tell you a little bit about the wood element. So the wood element there's five elements in the Chinese system. There are also five elements in the Indian system. They do not line up. They're different models. They have different purposes. They're different functions. So the element in the Chinese system that we're coming up to at this time of year is the wood element. And so, the fresh green in the spring, well, especially if you're in the northern hemisphere, obviously, but the fresh green of the spring, the shift out of the sort of slowness, lethargy of the winter. You start moving into the springtime. Where I live in North Carolina, the traditional people here would harvest the ramps and creases, which are particular wild plants that grow here that are considered very like cleansing for the blood, help you to clean out in the spring. And that is really, you see that in a lot of the traditional cultures. There's something to kind of get rid of some of the stagnation, to move the stagnation of the winter along. So wood has a lot to do with the sinews in the body, the tendons and the ligaments. And it has to do with flexibility, not just physical flexibility, but also psychological flexibility. It has to do with the sides of the body, which oftentimes I think we, just as human beings or as Western people, we think about the front of the body and the back of the body. And we kind of are like, remember Flat Stanley? We're like, we're just flat and we forget about the sides of the body. So the wood element asks us to consider the sides of the body and to move the sides of the body. And then wood also has to do with making good decisions. That has to do mostly with the liver. The liver and the gallbladder are associated with the wood element. It doesn't mean the organs. It's a different way of looking at the organs. It's sort of the energy that moves through the system that is governed by those organs. You can think of it that way. And of course, the liver stores a lot of, a lot of the toxicity, a lot of stagnant stuff because it holds a lot of blood, right? So moving that stuff through is part of the idea of working with the wood element. Okay, so let's go ahead and give this practice a try. The first one's called hugging the bear. So you take like a horse stance and bend your knees, and the arms come out to the side. And this is actually the inhale. There's a couple ways you can do it, but this can be the inhale. And then as you exhale, you kind of hug. You feel like you're hugging the tree, and the legs get a bit straighter, or all the way straight if you like. Inhale, opening. I like the inhale opening. I've also seen it done the other way though. It's not there's not one sort of right way necessarily. It depends on the tradition. So we'll do one more of those. Hug the tree. I like to change which hand is on top as I hug, and you can stay there for a moment if you like. You're ready, then float back up. Now the next one is the bear hug, and this one you take one hand on top and the other hand around. So you're kind of getting to some of these acupressure points that are associated with the gallbladder here with that hug. Um, and then for this one, you separate the feet, and then you do this twist. So it's if you want, you can add a breath. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale if you want. Go a little slower maybe. And then after you do that one a few times, then you change the hug, right? So you hug the other way. So give it a try. Let me know what you think in the comments. And happy spring. I hope that you feel the lovely energy moving through you and let go of some of the stagnant energy of the winter. Thanks so much for being here. See you next week.